fans, welcome back everyone, welcome back to the Sparkling Tuna Cup number 129. Welcome back to the semi-finals. Our semi-finals here, we're jumping into our round of 4, and we have our first series ready. We have our TvP. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Sanctuary 3, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the blue Terran representing Shopify. It is ByuN. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the red Protoss. It is NightMare. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are now open. Place your bets. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat as we delve into our initial PvT. Getting into this best of 3, bearing in mind that ByuN is the favorite player here, but NightMare, he can threaten him 100%. NightMare has been a little bit less active there. He has been less active in recent times. And has been a little bit less frequent when it comes to competing in these events. So we'll see what NightMare brings to the table. Let's go. Let us go. Coming into this double gas opener out of ByuN, going double gas into a faster factory, into a delayed CC. A little bit surprised considering how safe the natural is. Sure, the rush distance, I mean, this isn't the largest map out there, but the rush distance isn't too bad, and we have the high ground CC, so I was expecting greed coming into this, but we have a bit of a safer and more aggressive approach out of ByuN instead. Interesting. Meanwhile, welcome to Sanctuary 3. As I mentioned previously, here we do have the high ground at natural expansion. Shout out to Monster Energy, of course, for sponsoring the Team Liquid map contest. Likewise, shout out to Shopify as well. Bam! There we go. Shopify also sponsoring this event as well. I say this event sponsoring specifically the Team Liquid map contest. But again, we have a much more secure 2-base setup. The third base is a little bit more open, a little bit more exposed, specifically when it comes to this area in between the natural and the third, which can be taken advantage of. Outside of that, the third base is relatively secure. It does have a wider entrance into the third and a very direct path across the map as well. We saw this come into play in the Sword of versus Art series, but to be fair, there was also a unique game where Art was faking a third base and faking an expansion and went for a 2-base all-in instead and caught Sword of with his pants down. We'll see how NightMare and ByuN will approach Sanctuary and whether they do embrace that aggressive nature to them. I feel like they will. In general, the meta in recent times has been very aggressive, and likewise NightMare and ByuN also thrive in the mid game as well, so we're expecting mid game aggression. Behind this, Twilight Council open out of NightMare. Twilight Council into Blink. We'll see how many gateways that NightMare does commit into, whether it's 2-gate Blink, 3-gate, or 4-gate Blink Stalkers, whether he goes for something more aggressive or something more standard. Eyes are on NightMare. As ByuN is looking for a way in. So just making sure the predictions did in fact open. Meanwhile, Double Reaper behind the entrance in towards the natural base. Not bad. Gets one, gets two. Yeah, one, 2 probes going to be going down, making use of that alternate path in towards the natural. NightMare was out of position. And believes out 2 workers and both Reapers get away. So far, a nice start here by ByuN. Behind this, if you remember, against Arch, we saw ByuN go for a faster tech lab. This time, no tech lab. Goes into reactive Marines in towards a Wood Mine drop follow-up after the Reaper Hellion. So this time, a little more active, a little more aggressive. ByuN, he threatens a dive. Ooh, we'll lose 1 Reaper in the process, so ByuN does overextend, but so far, it was still a better trade for ByuN, picking off 2 workers for a Reaper. So far, so good. Wouldn't mind, it does move in position. Oh, catching out a Stalker, not bad. Does catch out a Stalker, no economic damage. At the same time, we do have our Wouldn't Mind dropping towards the natural. Oh, he's scuttling away. He's like, I mean, he's the least distracting. Will be hunted down. Yeah, tries to hide, but does fall. Medevac in towards the main base. Back in the main, there's nothing to defend. Stalkers are at the natural. But NightMare should react in time. Shouldn't lose too much here, if anything. There's that bar. No! Ooh, no reaction! Yeah, delayed reaction there. 3 probes going to be going down. NightMare, he pulled away a group of probes, not quite the workers that were targeted. 3 probe kills, and the Widowmine gets away. No shot. Does barely get away as well. Very nice damage here by ByuN. ByuN takes the lead. ByuN takes the lead, and NightMare a little bit sad. Smooch, papi, smooch. Feels bad, man. As ByuN gets away, NightMare going for the low ground expand. Okay, you have my attention. Low ground third. He's expanding away from ByuN. Wouldn't is hunted down. Does get caught. ByuN back at home, building up his own bio tank. Building the stim. Combat shields, +1. Meanwhile, NightMare, I believe 2-gate. Yep, 2-gate blink into a third. We have an economic build here by NightMare. But once again, we saw this in the art series, but NightMare, he lost 6 probes in the lead up to this. So this economic opener, what should have been leading into an economic lead, is leading into NightMare catching up economically. So NightMare, he has to play catch up. He has to make up for his losses. ByuN building up his army, and this 2-base move out, it's going to hit quite hard. But now, though, he's contained, waiting for his upgrades. Here we go. Oh, jeez, five more? Yeah, 5 more probes going to be going down. That was another Widow Mine? It was. Another Widow Mine scuttles in. Ay, ay, ay. That should not have happened. ByuN dropping on the right hand side. Is moving out. Oh. Yeah, so as they do try to commit into the dive, they do catch out one of the upgrades at least. Not quite stim, unfortunately. Oof. Yeah, denying combat shields. ByuN making his way across the map. Decent pick off. This will delay ByuN somewhat, but again, stim will finish. Yeah, stim will still finish. ByuN can still push. He's moving out across the map, and NightMare, he's in trouble here. He has to try to slow this down. Drop into the main. Charge is done. NightMare's distracted. Forced to respond. Yeah, pulls into the main base. Here comes the main army. ByuN has momentum. Even catching out a Stalker. Gets one. Takes on a Stalker. Medevac is going to fall. Ooh, that's a full medevac going down, but the main army will siege. Yeah, sieging outside of the natural. Oof. Yeah, zoning away the army. Pylon falls, no battery. Massive tank shots. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, massive tank shots going up. And NightMare will hold. Yeah, it does hold on, does defend. There's still 4 more probes going down. ByuN does pull out. Yeah, pulls out, racing back home. Is quite overstimmed. that's almost purely from stimming, papi. Ay, ay, ay. Has to calm down, has to pull away. But overall, ByuN still has momentum. ByuN has an equivalent, if not greater, worker count. Third CC is almost done. ByuN escapes with his main army. And NightMare is still hurting. He's still hurting. His 4th is late. The economy is delayed. Here comes the second wave for ByuN. And moving out across the map. What do we have to defend? It's going to be 1 Colossus. We're going to have 1 Colossus here. Oh, the flanking Raven. Lands the armor shred. The Widow Mines. Oh my god. Widow Mines, they punish the Zealots. They just melt. They evaporate. ByuN commits in. Yeah, picking up more charge lots. They just cannot engage. So many Zealots going down. And NightMare still has no 4th expansion, by the way. Still no 4th. He's just being choked out here. Barely an economy. Leading out more Zealots. Now getting within range of the Nexus. And you can see ByuN trying to bait out the Colossus. He's trying to bait him out. And then dive. And now he dives. Now he dives in. The Colossus get out of here. It does pull away. Pulls away in time. The Immortal falls. Still heavy losses here for NightMare. And NightMare just cannot engage. It's just such a hefty army. It's so Marauder heavy. No. The Colossus, they're so fragile. And they're finally going to go down. As they pull back to the battery. ByuN just stims. And he wins. Takes on both Colossus. Heavily overstimmed, but it's fine. Oh my god, denies the warp in. And with that, GG gets called. ByuN takes the lead in the series. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Again, ByuN, he was just in the driver's seat the entire game. 6 probe kills early on was brutal, losing 6 workers to the Reaper Widowmine. Likewise, saw another 5 probes going down. That was 11 probe kills in total. And remember, NightMare didn't go for an aggressive build, he went for an economic one, so he couldn't even counterattack because of the low gateway count. He was only on 2. Only 2 gateways, went for a faster third base, but he lost his economy, so he had to catch back up economically. He had nothing to work with. His stalkers, he was at least able to deny combat shields. That's all he did though. He denied combat shields. The push was still terrifying, and ByuN snowballed out of control. Snowballed out of control, moved out across the map, and could not be stopped. GG. GG, well played. Another big moment, of course, because of all the aggression that was going on, was the drop into the main. ByuN, that drop into the main base killed 1 stalker, didn't really do much damage, but did distract, and it allowed for ByuN to push in between the natural and the third base, to siege up his tanks, to get a better fight, and to get that ball rolling. But let's go now. We're going to be loading into game number 2, and spawning in the bottom hand corner of Wave Breaker, we have the blue Protoss player. Sorry, the blue Terran player himself, the South Korean Terran representing Shopify. It is ByuN. And spawning in the right hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Protoss player, the Protoss player himself, representing Streamer Zone. It is NightMare. Here we go. Because we are going to be opening up, we are going to be settling in. As a Master Protoss doesn't even lose a worker to quick burring, while pro gamers lose them all the time. I mean, bearing in mind that one is not quite like the other, there are always instances where, say, a quote-unquote like lower overall well-rounded player can excel like in a certain aspect, like when it comes to individual unit micro, but bringing everything together does take a lot more skill, of course, and there's also a lot more going on when it comes to what is being done across the map, what they're doing themselves when it comes to their build of choice. There's always a lot more of a distraction, I should say, coming into play, just because there's a lot more going on both defensively and offensively from a Protoss player at a higher caliber of play. And likewise, as you mentioned as well, like you can have a player like who's like Masters or even Diamond who has like hyper sick micro when it comes to like the Reapers, for example, but when it comes to like a longer expanded game, like that's where the skill set required is a lot higher, of course. But here we go. So far, we're going to be opening up is once again double gas opener out of ByuN, going for his own faster factory, going for a delayed CC. Once again, we have a much more tech heavy start here by ByuN. Much more tech heavy. Last game, this led into additional Reaper Hellion early on. This time, we'll see if he goes for the early tech lab. Meanwhile, welcome to Wave Breaker. Wave Breaker is a very unique map in the map pool. Very, very unique. Has a very unorthodox layout as well. I had a really hard time judging this map. Very, very hard time. Just because like we have speed zones in the center, we have a direct rush distance across the map, we have an open natural expansion, but we also have like these weird like rocks in the center as well that limits rotations and limits certain attack paths. We have the low ground expand at the 4th, low ground expansion at the 3rd as well. It's a very unique map. It's very unique. I think Wave Breaker, I think this was the highest rated map amongst all of the judges. I'll have to again, we're going to be going more in depth into it tomorrow during our judging stream, our TLMC stream. But I believe like Wave Breaker was number 1. Yeah. Highest rated map. But I did have a hard time with this one, for sure. Did have a harder time. Otherwise, we have a Reaper Hellion, a will deny some mining at the natural, catching out a probe. Does get 1 probe kill so far. Double Reaper into the main base. Can we get another worker? And looks like we may be able to. We can! Oof. Yeah, 2 probe kills. Do we get 3? Yeah, 2 probes going down. The Reapers are coming into the mineral line. The 3rd probe does full. 4 probe kills. Oh my god. 5? 5 probes going down. And a full scout as well. Critical damage early on. And we're still not done. Okay, the Hellion backs off. Okay, now we're done. The Hellion pulls away, 5 probes going down. Here in the main base, we have 2-gate blink into a robo into a third base. But just like last game, NightMare does have a stifled economy early on, leading into a shaky mid game. Oof. Now, this is slightly better for NightMare. Again, last game, he lost 6 workers at the start of the game. This time, NightMare loses 5. So, slightly better, I suppose, but we're still not quite done. Here comes a follow-up. It was for the early tech lab. Earlier tech lab into Cyclone drop. There we go. I remember earlier I was like, oh, this time we lost 5 probes. 6 probes have gone down, just like last game, and we're gonna get even more actually. Yeah, drop into the main, cashing out another Stalker. Oh, quick blink. Nice control. Going for the Cyclone. Cyclone does fall, and NightMare holds. NightMare, he will hold on. Marines being cleaned up. NightMare does hold, winding it back here. NightMare bleeding out 7 pros, but he did trade, right? He traded, catching up the Cyclone, cleaning up the Marines. At least the medevac does make it back home. NightMare is still in a rocky position here, but could have been worse. Behind this, ByuN is building up into a stim timing once again. Stim, combat shields, his bio tank. Unlike the previous map, this main base here on Wavebreaker is very safe. It's very safe and very secure. Very often there's like an alternate way into the into the main base from the third location. But as you can see here, there is none. The main base on Wavebreaker is very safe. It is behind the natural. Behind the natural expansion. So Blink Stalker aggression is non-existent. You just cannot aggress upon the main base with Blink Stalkers. To compensate for that, the natural is very open. It's very open, very wide. But that would only be really applicable against, say, like a charge-based opener. Speaking of charge is on the way. This time, no Colossus going into Storm instead. Storm is on the way. Risky maneuver. Ooh, medevac gets caught out. Going for the tank. Tank is getting low. Can he get it? He can. Tank goes down. Massive pick of Tank and the medevac. And NightMare is holding on at the same time across the map. Hellion to get 2 probe kills. But ByuN leading out 1 tank is huge. Down to 1. Does catch a Stalker. Pushing through the center. Rush through. ByuN, he doesn't quite commit. Again, losing one of those tanks does take away a lot of pushing power, so ByuN, he backs off and he goes to drop play instead. So a very mature reaction here by ByuN. As I mentioned before, ByuN ideally wanted to go for 1 big push, but losing a tank means he cannot do that anymore. So ByuN has been denied, settles for drop play, and now we have a higher chance of NightMare holding and defending and stabilizing. Third CC on location for ByuN. Double drop into the main. Dust him into the mineral line. Ooh, NightMare's out of position. Yeah, NightMare, he's late. He's out of position. Late rotation. Double drop outside of the natural, outside of the third. And this is getting out of hand. 9 to 10 probes at the Archon. Oh my god, the Archon goes down as well. And NightMare's falling apart. He's falling apart here. Massive damage. 10 probes, the Archon, all the Zealots. At the same time, we still have another army waiting outside of the bases. Ooh, catching out a Stalker as well. Hyper efficient trades. ByuN doesn't move in. High Templar Storms are waiting for him. But ByuN should be feeling very good about that damage. In total, 19 probe kills. NightMare, he's been crippled. The one thing NightMare has is Storm. If he can land some juicy Storms, he can maybe hold on. But there are too many Marauders. Yeah, Marauders, they built a tank. It's a heavy Marauder army. Tanks are pushing forward. And Storms are not going to be good enough. Not anymore. Only 2 High Templar. Auto tower harass into the main. Tank shots going off. Moving into the mineral line. Kiting well against the Zealots. Yeah, kiting well. Still 9 probes going down. Rotates over towards the natural. As we mentioned before, this is a very accessible natural expansion. This area here is just so wide. What that means is that there's less of a chance for the army to clump. That means that ByuN's army, that it just should not clump up. And Storm's going to be less effective as there's just more room. More room to spread, more room to pull away. NightMare trying to catch reinforcements. And where are the storms? There is none. Zelsa coming from behind. Okay, tank gets surrounded. It's going to be a one-way trip. ByuN commits in. And he does trade well here, but he should be forced to pick up. Ooh, snipes a robot. Snipes a robot, pulls away. Behind this, fully saturated here on 3 bases. ByuN, he has a greater economy. He has a larger army. And ByuN, it's getting out of hand. It's just getting out of hand at this point. Again, just so many economic losses for NightMare translates into such a small army. And that's why we have that supply disparity. It all just comes down to the economic damage. It all comes down to the economic losses. That translates into ByuN having a 50 supply lead. NightMare trying to claim a 4th base. It's very late 4th. And ByuN's got EMPs. He's got his ghosts. He has the answer to the storm. How many storms? 5 High Templar. A decent Templar count. But ByuN has the counter. Comes down to the unit micro. Zelsa spot the main army. NightMare getting in position. Let's go 2 High Templar with the main army. The other 3 behind this. Army gets spotted. Army gets spotted. ByuN is moving in. Zelda run into the 3rd, but there are reinforcements back at home. And I'm curious, where are the other 3 Templar here? Okay, we have 3 Templar here with the main army. Ah, okay, there we go. Templar back at home in the main. That's curious. And ByuN is only posturing. He's not committing. He's soon to max out. Soon to max. ByuN moving in. Does what the main army. Shows his EMPs. Speaking of, EMP does lead the charge. Stims on forward. Next stims in. Nice feedback. Denies one of the EMPs. Ghost goes down. How about the EMP still landed? Yes. Never mind. Yeah, still did land. No storms. We have 1 High Templar coming in. There's another 3. The storms are coming. ByuN has to respect it. And he's kiting well. Yeah, he's kiting well against the Zealots. Ooh, does bleed out a couple of ghosts. That's 2, 3, 4 ghosts falling. Heavy losses for ByuN, losing all of his ghosts. All the ghosts go down. NightMare, I will say, is spread very thin. I do feel like ByuN, if he did go for some drop play, he'd be quite successful here. But right now, he's just focusing on the main push, the main army. Keeping up with NightMare. Oh, a couple of feedbacks connect. Yeah, NightMare, he's been on top of his feedbacks. Has been on top of it. And there once again those rotate. EMPs are ready. Lands 1 on the Stalkers. Zoning Storm. Ooh, snipe goes off on that High Templar. Yeah, Templar goes down. Brutal snipe. ByuN rotates. He does find a fresh expansion. Nexus is gonna go down. NightMare trying to come in from behind, but the rocks are still up. No, the rocks are up. ByuN kind of gets surrounded. Wow. If these rocks were down, then NightMare could have pushed in and could have taken over the high ground. Could have taken over the high ground and engaged with the army. But the rocks, they protect ByuN. They protect him. Not like this. Gonna race it back home. NightMare's pushing. Where are the Templar? Okay, good. We got 2 Templar with the main army. EMPs don't quite connect. Catching out the Colossus. Storm's coming in. Storm is zoning. Both armies are maxing out. ByuN still has momentum. He's going for his own split push, but we have plenty of Zealots here on the top side. Plenty of charge lots. NightMare, he's ready. Even catching out a Ghost. Ghost gets caught. NightMare, he's holding. He's holding, he's defending. ByuN claiming his 4th base. Planetary is up. 5th base on the way as well. And we have a game. For the most part, ByuN has still been ahead for the majority of the mid game for sure. But NightMare has built up his Colossus. It still comes down to the main army fight. Comes down to the EMPs, the feedbacks, the storms, the positioning. For example, NightMare is threatening the base on the right hand side. At the same time, has a massive counterattack force as well. ByuN does catch at a Colossus. Flanking army threatening a dive. ByuN's in position. ByuN's ready. Does an EMP. Yeah, very nice EMP. And oh, NightMare, he'll lose everything. Ideally, he wanted to cause a distraction first and then move in, but he came in too soon. He came in too early. NightMare, he was premature. His flanking army was broken. ByuN gaining map control. Oh, rushing past the storm. Army just sims in. At the same time, Prism doesn't get past the turrets. Yeah, turrets they defend. Colossus they race back home to defend as well. ByuN can break out. And now there are no Colossi. Oh, lands EMPs. Takes on 2 more Templar. Now there's no splash damage. Colossus are on the top side. No High Templar, no Storm on the right hand side either. Yeah, the army is vulnerable, and ByuN, he can just catch him out completely here. Mass EMPs. NightMare is cornered. Not like this. He can't get out. You see NightMare is racing back home. He's trying to rotate. Mass Knight's popping up. Storm does land. Yeah, Storm does land, but a brutal fight here as NightMare, he just plummets in supply. NightMare being pulled apart here. He was spread too thin. Again, it was crazy to see him rotate with the Colossus. Like, to see all 3 Colossus rotate to the top side was insane. So he could not defend against the main army. Flank comes in, takes down a Colossus, gets 1, gets 2. And that's it. That was it. That was the entire army here. Now we're down to a handful of Blink Stalkers. ByuN pulls away. Again, NightMare, he had almost stabilized. He was catching up. He was soon to max out. Never quite got there. Not quite. Pero casito. And now ByuN's just firmly in the driver's seat. ByuN just took down one of the bases. Now we can just rotate, keep pushing. Knock down more expansions. He still has a very high ghost count, 10 ghosts. Against the 4 Templar. Moving in. If EMP lands on the High Templar, we still got 3 Templar left. EMPs, they keep landing. Okay, decent storms, but that's all we had. Yeah, just those 2 storms. ByuN just rotate to another expansion. He just rotates. Yeah, stimming on in. And this should be the final army here for NightMare. He just has no buffer for his Colossus. Colossus goes down. There's 1 Colossus left. No more storms either. No storms. No High Templar. Mineral line goes down. And ByuN just stims it. Just stims on forward. The Zealots, they're buying time. The Colossus are able to add a little bit of DPS here, but the base will still fall. There's no saving this expansion. 40 probe kills. Insane damage. And with that, GG gets called. ByuN, he will claim the series 2-0. ByuN, he will advance on into the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. Both game 1 and game 2 had similar tales here, where NightMare had a very shaky early game, losing a lot of workers early on, once again losing 19 probes in the early to mid game, and NightMare could not sustain those losses. He fell behind. ByuN gained momentum. ByuN took a massive supply lead. He was up like, what, 40-50 supply in the mid game, and that led into ByuN gaining map control, having a comfortable 4 and 5 base setup, and of course maneuvering, trading with the army, and NightMare never quite was able to catch up. NightMare, who was close to maxing, I think perpetually he was still behind 20 supply. He also had no bank because of the low economy, because of the rough early game, and one wrong move and everything just fell apart. Everything just fell apart there. We saw NightMare had a really hard time when it came to splitting his army and rotating from the top side to the south side, splitting up his Colossus and High Templar specifically. The army was quite wide. Sorry, the map is quite wide. It's quite wide. Bases are quite spread out, and NightMare did struggle there. GG. GG all played, but again, it was just a shaky early game. It all came down to the early game, to the early to mid game. From the beginning, it was just a rocky road there for NightMare, and he was not quite able to stabilize. Not quite, but GG, well played with that. Congratulations, ByuN. He will claim the series 2-0. Meanwhile, a big shout out in the chat to Horse Local. God, thanks so much. Thanks so much for subscribing for 39 months. Crazy support, Papi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support. We do appreciate it. Gracias, Papi. Gracias. As we are heading over to the European server. Oh my god. As we have our next matchup getting ready here. Papi, calm down. Exclamation mark. Be in the chat to have a look at the back yourselves. Let us head on over to the brackets. Oh boy, as coming into the lower quarterfinals, I was favoring Percival. I felt like Percival, he was almost a sure thing. Nickrak took down Minoviku. Nickrak took down Percival 2-1. Big win there. Nico. Nickrak takes down Percival, and Nickrak, he will advance on to the semifinals. Percival is out. He is out of the tournament. I would have said that he was favored to make it to at least the semifinals, but no, not here, not this time. With that, GG, well played, and Nickrak is waiting in the semifinals, waiting for the winner of Christiana and Strange.